early because it looks like everybody's in here, and we have a really big meeting tonight. I want to welcome you to the Town of Penfield and to our Bicentennial Kick-Off. I'm here with Kathy Knauer, our town historian. We want to introduce what you're going to see first before our organizational meeting. What I would like to do as the chair of the Bicentennial Committee is to make sure that the sponsors are recognized. We have sponsors that have put money forward to help defray the costs of our Bicentennial, different events we're going to be working on. And the Bicentennial sponsors are Wegmans, Family First, Canandaigua National Bank, Elderwood Assisted Care, Dick Guide Honda, the YMCA of Rochester, MRB Group, McConnellville, Considine, Cockman, and Morin, Wally Ashnault, Paychecks, Hunghwa, and Baker Commodities, and Jennings, Knowlton, Maddle Funeral Home. So we want to thank those sponsors. And we're doing activities throughout the year, but one thing, if you would like to participate as a sponsor yourself, we are raising money for the Daniel Penfield statue, which we hope to have completed by the summer. And these brochures that are all over the place, we have them here in the town hall, the rec center, the library, Wegmans. In that you can buy brick to have your name in a walkway that's going to be presented by the statue in Shuffleberger Park in the Four Corners. And if your organization or business would like to buy a banner, we're going to put banners up throughout the town, where the Town of Penfield banners are now. They're going to be replaced by banners that have the logo in the business or the organization. So I just want everyone to be aware that those are two opportunities that you too can help sponsor the Bicentennial. Now, as the kickoff for the beginning of 2010, we're very excited. I want to thank the Four Nouns for their music during the reception. I want to thank Amy Stuckloff, our town clerk, for coordinating the reception for the goodies provided. And now I want to introduce Kathy Knauer, has been working really hard to put this together with little information, but we wanted to do this to start the year. So, Kathy?
Thanks, Linda. I wanted to say first, it's an honor to be a part of celebrating the 200th anniversary of the Town of Penfield. We're at a lucky time that we're able to celebrate that. And I wanted to also say that we're fortunate. Daniel Penfield had the wisdom and the foresight to realize what an ideal spot this was to settle his town that was going to bear his name, because I think it's a great place to live, and I'm sure he had that vision 200 plus years ago. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to the Penfield Players, who are portraying Daniel and Mary Penfield, and Brooks Mason, the first town clerk, and William McKinstry, our first town supervisor. Thank you.
Good evening, neighbors. I am Daniel Penfield, and I am the founder of your wonderful town. My guests and I would like to thank you for allowing us to join you in your bicentennial celebrations. It is gratifying to me that the town has continued to thrive and to grow after all of these years. When I first came to this area, it was nothing but wilderness. The Native Americans were traveling back and forth from their long houses to their hunting grounds, but very few Easterners had ever traveled this far except to hunt or to trap. Now, I had a lucrative business in New York City at the time, but I wanted to invest in land, our country's future. Now, the jewel that sold me on this area was Irondequoit Creek. You have to remember that we didn't have electricity or power engines at the time. All our power had to come from nature, from the muscles of the people or their animals, or from wind or water. So the falls at Irondequoit Creek were perfect to power our early mills. And with that in mind, I bought all of the land that is now today the towns of Penfield and Webster. And in the hope of spurring settlement, I opened up a sawmill and a grist mill. And happily, people did become to move here. Now, I had a bit of a challenge trying to convince my wife and my teenage children to move here, however. We had a large home on Manhattan Island with many friends and access to dinners and parties and theater. I can understand their reluctance to move to a place that was largely wilderness at the time. However, they did finally agree on the grounds that I would build them a large home as gracious as the one we were leaving in New York City. It stands today still, although it is much altered over the years, and holds one of the town's local businesses. Now, we even had an English garden at the time, beautiful. We even had a tame deer that would eat right out of your hand. Now, during my time here in Penfield, I owned or operated many of the town's businesses, including a sawmill, a grist mill, a tannery, an ashery, a distillery, an oil mill, a soap mill, and a textile mill. Now, the last commercial venture I started here was a 5-story flour mill, which was built in 1835. Unfortunately, it failed, partially due to what was called the Panic of 1837. See, we even had economic recessions to deal with in my day. At this point in time, I would like to introduce Mr. Brooks Mason, our town clerk, and he has a few announcements he would like to make.
Thank you, Mr. Penfield. I'm sure all of you know that I was Mr. Penfield's right-hand man, but I digress. At the first town meeting, held April 2nd, 1811, the officials conducted several items of business. The sum of $30 was appropriated for aiding the poor. $40 was set aside to build an animal pound, and $50 was raised to cover a $5 per pate wolf bounty. Now, for more information, Mr. McKinstry.
Well, thank you. I also brought some notes. Once you pass at 100, the memory starts to go a little. After 200, the memory goes a little bit more, but at least you don't care. I was taking a look at your agenda for this evening, and I can tell that it's every bit as scintillating as the original meetings that we had. So many interesting items on here. For instance, back when we were first meeting, we were talking about the school district and all of the things that were involved in setting up that early school, the trustees for the town's burying grounds, certainly a fascinating bit of business there. And of course, road surveys were recorded along with the minutes of our meetings. I'm sure all of you were well aware that the roads helped you get here tonight. They were well done. They're taken care of by a staff of, I'm told, 37 people paid to do so. Back in our day, well, there were 26 highway overseers, or sometimes called pathmasters. But highways back then meant something a little different. Highways could be a path, perhaps not much longer than the width of this carpet strip right here that might go through a field or the forest. And those highway overseers, particularly on a night like this, would have had a very interesting job keeping that clear. Spoke with the supervisor a little earlier, and I just, by way of telling you maybe a couple of things that may keep you your popularity, kind of a roundabout story. Before Penfield became its town, one of the Wadsworths, the people who settled Geneseo and became land barons thousands of acres over, well, one of them came here to visit, spent 4 days looking around, and at the end of that 4th day, turned to his guide and said, "I wouldn't take this land if you gave it to me." Well, apparently I was a better guide because a lot of the people I showed around actually stayed and liked it. Now, that may be one of the reasons that I was elected supervisor. Perhaps it was that I built the first general store. People tend to like that person. Sadly, I think it may have had more to do with the fact that I built the first distillery. Just one last piece of advice, if I may, Mr. Supervisor. You meet every month, is that correct?
Several times a month.
Several times a month. I don't know if the good old days have any meaning for you, but back then we met once a year. Daniel?
Thank you. My lovely wife, Mrs. Penfield, would like to make one final special announcement.
Before I announce our town tree, I would like to say that I am immensely pleased that so much has changed concerning women They now can own land in 2010 as well as vote. What's more, and heaven knows how Penfield might have evolved if women were on the town council and owned businesses here. And I can only say, dear Daniel, that I might not have come up here if it had been different.
Stick to the schedule, dear.
Yes, dear. The official town tree for Penfield is the maple tree.
Thank you. Once again, my guests and I would like to thank you for allowing us to join you in your celebrations.
We need the town clerk one more time.
Oh, one more announcement from Mr. Brooks Mason, the town clerk.
There will be festivities all year long to mark this milestone. A few of the activities include the Bicentennial Gala on March 27th, Penfield Players melodrama presentation of the Brothers O'Toole on several dates in May, the Penfield Symphony Orchestra Bicentennial Concert on May 17th, Penfield Independence Day, July 2nd and 3rd, and this is one of the favorites of mine as I fought in the Revolution to secure our independence, and Heritage Festival on October 16th. Please check the entire schedule of events online at www.penfield2010.org or in the winter recreation brochure. Mr. Penfield?
Thank you very much. Thank you, and have a good evening.
Can we leave these here?
I'm sorry?
Can we leave these here?
I'd like to just take a minute and say thank you to Mr. and Mrs. Penfield, town clerk, Mr. Supervisor. Thank you very much for leaving the town in great hands. And
You can say that.
that's right. And what I would like to do now is that we were fortunate tonight to have the four nouns, and I think what better way as we conclude the first town board meeting in Penfield, and as we get ready to have the first town board meeting in our bicentennial year, is to invite the four nouns up to for all of us to join in to sing "God Bless America."
Yes.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home.
Yes. Thank you very much. Nice, great job. Join in. There's still some more refreshments out in the rotunda, and certainly a special thanks to the Penfield Players, to Linda Cole, who is chairing our Bicentennial Committee this year and has done a tremendous amount of work. I'm convinced that we certainly wouldn't be this far with so many programs and so many good things happening in this community without the effort of Linda. And she has worked very, very hard with her committee, and they're there. They're just adding more things to the calendar. There's a lot of exciting things going on in 2010, and certainly at each town board meeting, I'm sure Linda will update us as to where we are, what lies ahead, and certainly 2010 is going to be a wonderful year. So we look forward to seeing all of your faces at many of our events. And again, we'll be starting in about 15 minutes and would encourage everyone to stay and join in our organizational meeting. Thank you.